Install a receptacle and a light switch, and I just figured I might as well do a YouTube video on it because there's a lot of people out there who don't know how to do this, and it's very simple. So this is my feed wire coming in, and this is the wire that's going to go to my light that's outside. And all you're doing here is completing a circuit. Just going to start by stripping this wire back. I'm going to strip this one back. Now the ground is important. A lot of people don't hook the ground up. That's stupid. Usually what I do, and you're probably supposed to use a wire nut on these, but I just like to twist them together. Cut the one off. Shorten that up. A little tip here. If you're going to turn the screw this way, you need to bend your J this way. If not, you put it in there, it's just going to push it off of there. So I usually, if I'm turning the screw this way, I turn the pliers this way. And I just hook it on there like so. Okay, now a very simple way to remember where these wires go. See how this side, these screws are silver colored. On here, they're brass colored. So you always want your white to light, black to brass. Easy to remember. For new homeowners, you're buying a new house and the receptacles all look sketchy, and you should probably change those right when you move in. It's cheap. Just go buy all new receptacles and change them all out, because these contacts in here over time from being plugged in and unplugged will get weak, and when you plug your plug in there, it creates heat. And if you're drawing a lot of amperage on this receptacle, it could start fire. So rule of thumb is probably about once every 10 years, you should change these receptacles. Give myself a nice little lead here. Same thing with this side. Okay, these wires, I'm going to turn the screw that way, so I'm going to turn the pliers that way. Bend a nice little J on there. Same thing here. I'm going to turn the screw this way, so I'm going to turn the pliers that way. Now in some states, some cities, it all depends. You'll have to look at code. But they want you to wire nut these two wires together and put what they call a pigtail on here. And then you're only hooking one into the receptacle. In my state, we don't have to do that. Well, in my county, I don't have to do that. It varies from county to county. I know probably about 2 hours away from here, you have to put pigtails on. And then just make sure these are really tight. You want to make a good tight connection. You don't want this to, if you plug a heater in here and it's drawing a lot of amperage, these are going to get hot and they'll either burn off or it could catch fire. So make sure all your connections are tight. That's all there is to that. Now I just completed a circuit. My power comes in to here, comes out, and it's going to go up to this light switch that goes outside to a receptacle. Now, something to remember is the black wire is your hot wire. Your white wire is your neutral. So this is always going to shock you if it's turned on. And then remember, white to light, black to brass. That's it. It's simple. And I usually push it in the receptacle box, push it back in there real good and fold them wires back. And you just and if I had a cover, I would put a cover on there, but I forgot to buy covers. All right, now for the light switch. This is my feed coming in from the receptacle down here that we just hooked up. This is going outside for the receptacle to run my lights on my patio. All you're doing with a switch is you're breaking that hot wire, that black wire. When you hook that black wire on here, all you're doing is when you turn it on, you're connecting the circuit, completing that circuit. When you turn it off, you're breaking the circuit, which turns the light on and off. And I'll start again by stripping the wire back. If you happen to be remodeling your home and you're roughing in all this electrical, just leave yourself enough wire to play with. You can cut it off, shorten it up, whatever you want to do. But if it's too short, then it's an issue. Then you're trying to wire nut pieces on here, and that's cobbling things together. Just leave yourself the extra little bit of wire. I know this stuff's expensive and you hate to waste it, but you have to have it. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie my two grounds together. Then I always cut one off. Leave the other one long enough so I can hook it to the receptacle or the switch or whatever it may be. light switch. Irritates me when people put these in upside down. Usually my rule of thumb is the ground always goes down. If you put the ground down, the switch will always be in the right position. A regular toggle switch says on and off on it. On should always be on the bottom. When you flip it up, it should be on. When you flip it down, it should be off. Ground is always down. Okay, now all we're doing is breaking this black wire. So we want to take these two white wires and we're just going to wire nut them together. You don't want to make these leads too long because you want the wire nut to cover all this exposed brass or copper. I stick both wires in there together, twist them on a little bit, and then I make sure that they're both bit into that nut. Give them a good pull. Then you just twist this wire nut until these wires start to twist. And once they're twisted down to here, they're twisted up in here. See, I'll show you. See that? You don't need to put your pliers on here and twist them and all that garbage. All you're going to do is break these wires off. Just put the nut on there, twist it together until it starts twisting, and it'll be all twisted up here. And just take this wire and tuck it back in there as far as you can. I like to make all my wires the same length, so I always just put them together and nip them off. Now, I'm on this side. I'm tightening my screw this way. Again, twist the pliers that way. And when I'm twisting these, I'm just getting just barely the end on the very tip of my plier and twisting, and that'll put a perfect little hook on there. Now, when I put these screws in, I like to either stop the screw straight up and down or straight this way, side to side or straight up and down, just because it looks nicer if they're all uniform and the same. Makes it look like you weren't an idiot. All right, that should complete all my circuit. I should be able to turn the breaker on and everything should work. This is all simple stuff. You know, you would have paid an electrician, I don't know, a couple $100 to come in and hook that up for you. It's simple. Anybody can do it. There's nothing to it at all, really. All this information is online. If you want to know, now these are 20 amp circuits. This is a 15 amp receptacle, but that's all I had right now, and I'm probably not going to plug anything in there more than that. But I'm using 12-2 wire. I've got a 20 amp breaker in the box. All my other receptacles are 20 amp circuits, receptacles. I like to put 20 amp in everywhere because it covers you. If I say I sell this house and somebody comes in here and they want to plug like an electric heater in there, you know, this is probably going to get hot and melt that receptacle. But I'm covered everywhere else. This whole house has got 20 amp receptacles everywhere. All 12-2 wire, all 20 amp circuits. Even my lighting is all 12-2 wire, 20 amp circuits. You can, I mean, it's just lighting and it doesn't really draw that much amperage. You can run that off of 14-2 on a 15 amp circuit. Me personally, I just like to overkill everything. So I probably will change this out eventually. But like I said, that's what I had laying around. And I'm tired of looking at these two holes in the wall from the past 3 years when I redid this house. I never finished this circuit. Now my wife's nagging at me to get the lights in the patio working, so I'm finally hooking it up. And this is what I have laying around, and that's what it's getting for now. So stay tuned if you want to see any other videos. If you want more in-depth discussion on things like this, let me know. I do have to hook up a welder plug down in my basement. I'll probably do a video on that because it's a 220, and there's a little bit more involved in 220 and stuff as far as wire gauge and stuff like that. You need to know how many amps whatever you're hooking up is drawing and things like that. So if you want to know any of that information, watch out for the next video. And like always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.